What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena with Mac and Griff. I'm Griffin Senek, joined by my co-host, Mac Rommel, and today we're bringing you the same format we've been bringing you all NFL season. We're going to go through the week's games, once again, give our winners. We'll also talk a lot of fantasy, but right away, we kind of have some breaking news. The NFL is kind of in a panic mode. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans have had a COVID outbreak within their team, and Cam Newton, kind of the first superstar, really, to be diagnosed with the coronavirus, resulting in the Chiefs and Patriots. They're supposed to play Monday, Tuesday now. We're not sure. Titans game has been canceled. So I'm going to start right with you, Mac. We're jumping right in here. What do you think about this COVID outbreak for the Tennessee Titans, and what do you think the impact will be potentially on the NFL season?
Sorry, I cut out there for a second, but I think I got it done, and there was a plane going by, so I had myself muted for a second. But, yeah, this COVID outbreak is insane. Do you hear that?
A little bit, but it's okay. You're good.
All right. So, yeah, this COVID outbreak, obviously super crazy. You got the Tennessee Titans. They had 3 players and, 5 personnel test positive at the start. And then you kind of saw more players gradually just keep getting testing positive. But the main thing I'm kind of questioning and want to know more about is how did the Vikings players not test positive after a game where most of the Titans players and personnel tested positive. So that's something to look out for. And then with Cam Newton, of course, they are playing the Kansas City Chiefs this week. So that's obviously one of the bigger games for them that they're going to be having this year. Probably best team in the NFL right now against the Chiefs. That game's being postponed to Monday or Tuesday, and we're going to have to see if that gets postponed even further. Right now, I'm hoping it's only Cam, but if it is Cam and they do play this game, that is going to be a huge loss for the Patriots.
Yeah, you cut out there at the end, but I think we kind of both agree on this one. The Titans, it's bad.
All my Wi-Fi is going out.
It's going out? Okay. Well, we still got you somewhat, so I agree with you in the regard that the Titans, this outbreak is very bad. And I kind of want to talk. It brings to me a reminder of the Miami Marlins situation in baseball. They had a huge outbreak within the team. They kind of had to shut down play for 2 whole weeks. They had a bunch of random guys gone. And they're having a great run in the playoffs. We haven't really talked baseball in a while, but shout out to the Marlins. Yeah. They're doing fantastic right now. Great story of the season. But I think with the NFL, these outbreaks, as long as they can contain them, they're going to probably be able to continue the season. You're only really seeing one team a week. You're not interacting with tons of teams going into crazy amounts of different locker rooms, like in the MLB, which made the outbreak even more vulnerable. But here, you're really only exposing the virus to one other team, and it looks like the Vikings are doing all right. So hopefully the Titans can get it under control. We don't know what's going to happen with that. They might play. They're not playing this week. Next week is up in the air. My guess is we might end up seeing a week or 2 added onto the NFL season because I think there's going to be other teams that are going to have to postpone games as well. So I would not be surprised. That is my prediction. I think we'll see a week or 2 added onto the NFL season for makeups. And, it'll be an interesting thing fantasy-wise. I know a lot of people are worried right now. Derrick Henry is not here this week. The Dalvin Cook and all those Vikings players also not going to be able to play this week. And now with the Chiefs and Pats, that's huge. Cam Newton, really the first mega fantasy potential star that is going to be out for a while. So it should be interesting to see how that goes. Speedy recoveries to all those guys. We are praying for their recovery as well as anyone else who is going through the virus right now in this country. It is still out there. Be safe, wear your mask, kind of a reminder that anyone can get it. The president has it right now. It's everywhere, guys. So just continue to stay safe, and hopefully the NFL will continue to stay running, but it should be, the rest of the game should be good to go tomorrow. So at least we'll still see some football.
Yeah, and so I just quickly put this out there before. If I respond to you a little bit late, it's just because the lag. So I'm cutting out, you're cutting out a little bit on my end. So I just want to say that in case I do respond late. But yeah, you saw the president. He got it too. I think that's just kind of a sign for players, humans, literally everyone. You got to wear a mask. He wasn't afraid of the virus, and he ended up getting the virus. And what I'm hearing now, it's kind of moderate. He has a cough, fever, stuff like that. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But he's kind of proof that you do need to wear a mask, and you have to believe in this. I know A lot of my friends too don't believe in masks just because Trump didn't believe in wearing a mask, but now a lot of people switch that Trump got us, especially. And I think that's going to kind of show with the players too. This could be something that players would look at and be more cautious about this. I know the NFL has done an amazing job last week against players tested positive of containing it. And as you said, you got to be able to contain the virus. And I think, like the MLB with the Marlins, of course there was like a little bit of an outbreak, but if you could keep it so that if one player gets it, you keep them contained, or two players gets it, you keep them contained so it doesn't spread to most of the team. I think that's going to be the most important part. Of course, players are going to test positive, but containing it is going to be the main thing. Like last week with the Atlanta Falcons and AJ Terrell, he got COVID, but they contained it. They were able to contain it, and it was just him on the whole team that tested positive. And then they played a game, and no one from that game tested positive. So that's what I like to see. And if you're able to contain this virus, it's going to be a good season. I think this is something to learn from, just as the MLB did with the Miami Marlins.
100%. And I think, we'll probably see a lot of players potentially start to take it even more seriously. I think they are taking it very seriously. And they do have daily testing, which is amazing. But I think we'll start to see potentially some more players be a little more careful, probably have that mask on at all times, and hopefully off the field just continue to stay safe. Because, everyone right now wants football. It's, something everyone can look forward to in a really rough season. So, yeah, hopefully those teams will get it figured out, and prayers up to all of those guys. Well, last week, week 3 was a crazy week in the NFL. We saw a lot of kind of crazy stuff go down. So, I don't know about you, Mac, but where do you want to start with our recap of what happened in week 3?
I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't know if you want to start with that game. So do you want to start with that?
Yeah, let's go through it. So obviously the Dallas Cowboys had a tough loss, losing 38-31 to the Seattle Seahawks, who right now look like one of the best offensive teams, if not the best offensive team in the NFL. Their defense has kind of been lackluster, but it doesn't matter when Russell Wilson is throwing 5 touchdowns a game. So, I'll kind of go through, the game real quick on my thoughts. I like what I'm seeing from that Dallas Cowboys offense right now. Dak Prescott, another game, 472 passing yards. He's going crazy right now. He did have 2 interceptions, but that's understandable when you're throwing the ball 57 freaking times. Zeke's kind of been a workhorse, although he didn't get much work. He only averaged 2.4 yards per game. He could have maybe been a little more of a difference maker. You got to love what they're doing. Cedric Wilson, 5 catches, 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns. That guy, you never really heard of him. And you're like, they got the big 3 in Gallup, CD, and Amari. So where did this guy come from? But he's putting up great numbers. That's great for them. And on the flip side of the ball, the Seattle Seahawks offense has been just fantastic. Russell Wilson right now, easily the front runner for the MVP. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett continuing to kill it. DK Metcalf did have that one mental mistake, though, of celebrating a little too early on a touchdown. We did see a great hustle play there by that Dallas Cowboys defensive back. I believe it was Trevon Diggs, if I'm not mistaken. Great play by him. And, I don't think we'll see that happening again from DK. I feel like he will 100% just be running straight for the end zone now instead of trying to celebrate. But overall, I think it was a great Seahawks win. And we did see some good things from the Dallas Cowboys offense, and the defense is just not there yet for them.
Yep, I agree with you on that, especially defense. The Cowboys defense isn't there. Sorry for that background noise again.
You're good.
But I loved what I saw from the Cowboys. And as you said, the 3-headed monster the Cowboys have in CD, Amari, and Gallup. And now you have Cedric Wilson, who blew up last game. Cowboys are hoping you could continue to have some big games and decent games from Cedric Wilson. He was a 7th-round pick a few years ago. Hasn't really came along. More of a special teams kind of guy. But this year with Mike McCarthy, they're trying to get him and some new players involved there. Excuse me for all that noise.
You're good. It's not terrible.
So that was kind of a good game for him. And I think that's something a lot of teams have to look forward to or look at when they're evaluating the Dallas Cowboys and their offense. Sorry for more noise. Zeke, of course, didn't have the best game, 2.4 yards per carry, as you said. But the Cowboys right now, they're kind of winning through their pass game, as you said, 470 yards for Dak, another 400-yard game for him. Absolutely blowing the offense and really teams away right now with how well he's putting up these numbers. And then defensively for the Dallas Cowboys, of course, not looking too well. Aldon Smith had 3 sacks, though. He's looking like a beast. Hopefully we get some more from DeMarcus Lawrence back at with his hand in the dirt from 3-point stance instead of the 2-point stance kind of thing, which didn't really work out with him and Everson Griffin. So hopefully we can see some changes there. Linebacking core isn't really great right now. Jalen Smith isn't showing a lot. And then that secondary, of course, don't really have to talk about it. Trayvon Diggs the only one that's kind of showing some potential there. But Seahawks, man, oh man. Russ, dangerous. He is dangerous. 14 touchdowns, easily right now. It's MVP, in my opinion. I like Kyler, but right now it's got to be his division, his friend in his division in Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Russ is balling. It'll be interesting to see. He has played some weaker secondaries, but it will be interesting to see. I don't think that offense is really going to slow down anytime soon. Another team whose offense has been going crazy, the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, this game, another one, I got to talk about here. Bears-Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons play another mega lead in this one. At the end of the third quarter, the Atlanta Falcons were winning this game 26-10. So it's another 16-point blown lead here. We saw Nick Foles come in for Mitch Trubisky. He's going to start this week. Nick Foles looked great. I mean, he threw 1 interception, had 3 touchdowns, so he threw the long ball great. He's a great leader, and I really expect great things. And I feel like, he always should have been the starter. I feel like they gave Trubisky the job just out of due of respect that, he's been the guy. He's led them to the playoffs before. They wanted to give him a chance. He didn't show up. Nick Foles comes in, and he looked great. And, I mean, the Falcons just got to get it going. I don't know if this is a game management issue. I mean, it clearly is if you're blowing this many leads. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous at this point. I mean, 16 points. I mean, it's a 2-score game, but it wasn't – they scored 3 times. So it wasn't like it was, they had some good moments. I mean, this is just an unacceptable performance again. And, Matt Ryan didn't really have the best of games. 19 for 38, that's 50% completion. I mean, that's really not amazing. I mean, this offense really didn't look great here without Julio Jones. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's been great, but I mean, the Atlanta Falcons really got to pick it up. But, the one question I want to throw to you, you can talk about the Falcons for sure, but what do you think about, the Chicago Bears potential now with Nick Foles now starting at quarterback?
Sorry, cut out for a sec. That's why I'm late response, but I think I got what you said. You asked what my thoughts were on the Bears.
Yes.
So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Bears. Mitch Trubisky, I'm even surprised that he led him to those 2 wins the first 2 games. I'm surprised he even was able to do that. That kind of blew me away. But then, you're down 16, and then you're really not playing well the first half. You got to put Nick Foles and see what he could do. And as you said, who you thought should have been the starter from the start. And that's my own opinion as well. That's what I would have thought. And I'm surprised that Mitch even was able to play 2 games. So I'm surprised at that. Mitch didn't have a good first half, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 in. Really wasn't able to put many points up on the board. But once you saw Nick Foles come in, you really saw a difference. He was throwing that ball around in 1 half, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. In 1 interception coming back, not bad at all. And then 188 yards is really spectacular. Coming back, your first game, 188 yards and a half, that's like 340 plus or something like that. If you play a whole game to average that out. But offensively, you got some pretty good players. They're kind of really spreading that ball around in the rushing game. And then just playing amazing. I never really was too high on Allen Robinson, but this year he's kind of taken me by storm. He's playing, I thought he could be. I've kind of felt those other better seasons he had were just kind of luck. But this year he's kind of proved me wrong. It's offensively for them. It's the Bears. So what do you got to say? They got Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack. The list goes on and on. Roquan Smith. But then for the Falcons, man, the Falcons, you can't blow 2 big leads 2 games in a row. It's unheard of. And that's not something with the team and the players. That's something with the coaching. I think you got to get Dan Quinn out of there because you're obviously doing something wrong and changing your scheme. You can't be doing so well in one part of the game and then automatically just change something up and go so bad and play so terribly from that point on. That's on the coaching. But the positives for the Atlanta Falcons offensively, they're great. And the whole team, they've showed their glimpses of how good they could be. And I think they just got to finish and work on things of how they could finish the game and win the game without blowing leads. I think by staying on the game plan is what you have to do. You can't change anything up. And I think that's the main reason why the Falcons have.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the Falcons offensively this year has been a positive. I mean, you've looked at guys like a Russell Gage who, didn't have a great game this week, but he's been solid this year. And Calvin Ridley, I think is, people are saying he's the Chris Godwin of this year. It really looks like he's coming out of his shell, kind of living up to that first rounder potential that he was supposed to have. And, he's doing great this year. He looks fantastic. And, it'll be interesting to see what can happen with that team. I do hope for their success, but I agree with you that, it might be time for a coaching change when you're blowing this many leads years in and years out. It's very problematic there.
Yep, definitely. And some teams, just haven't been able to put it together this past week. Games we thought were going to be close didn't end up being like that. Winners we had ended up losing. And one of those teams, I believe we both picked the Ravens in this. Ravens not look great whatsoever. The Chiefs were really blowing them by storm, making it like no contest. And for Lamar Jackson, that's you're 0-3 now versus the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. That is unacceptable to me. I'm not in a row unless they're a bad team. The Ravens are a great team. The Chiefs are a great team. They should easily be able to at least get one of those wins. So I'm surprised by that. And you see how, just for example, like many teams in the regular season, if they lose in the regular season and they play that same team in the postseason, normally that team that lost in the regular season wins in the postseason. For some reason, that's just kind of how things work. So I'm surprised that they are 0-3 versus the Chiefs with Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson, 97 yards, only one touchdown. Unacceptable. Like, if he has 97 yards, I'm expecting him, go get like 150 rushing yards. But he didn't even have 100 rushing yards. That blew me away. But the Chiefs, Patty Mahomes, almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a game, but that's what you're going to see from a rookie. But a lot of good play by some of these kind of not the number one receiver, but they're kind of getting up there and become more well-known. And that is Mecole Hardman. He's playing great. 4 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. I love what I'm seeing from him. And the Ravens, they can't be playing like that again, especially Lamar Jackson. You can't be struggling against teams like the Chiefs if you want to have a chance to make the Super Bowl.
No, 100%. I agree with you. I mean, I really liked what I was seeing with the Ravens so far in the season. First 2 games, offensively and defensively, they looked like a very strong team. And you see this Chiefs team, I mean, week 2, they had a little bit of a rough time with the Chargers, but they came out storming. I mean, you look at Mahomes, he threw, like you said, for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, even ran for a touchdown too. He looked fantastic. And, it really seems that when you start to doubt this guy, he just starts blowing you up. And you can never really say that this guy is not the best because he is one of the best. And he is probably the best. Him and Russell Wilson, I think it's up there between the two. But I feel like Lamar Jackson is not in this conversation. We saw that last night. He's not up there with these guys, regardless of the MVP and the rushing. 97 yards is unacceptable performance from a player of that caliber. It cannot happen. No, you never will see Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes throwing for 97 yards. I don't care who it is. Chiefs defense is not even that great. It's nothing special. The secondary is nothing. And you just saw a poor effort from this team. Mark Andrews had a terrible game. He dropped numerous passes, dropped a touchdown. Terrible game from Mark Andrews. He has to step it up. Marquise Brown, a bad game, 2 catches. I believe it was 13 yards. That's not acceptable as well. He also had some bad moments in that game. You saw J.K. Dobbins lead the team in receptions. J.K. has been great for them, but just overall the Ravens with a terrible performance here. You got to get it going offensively. I don't know what was wrong. They just did not look like they had a day. They were just not – they just were completely off, and, that can't happen with that team. And their defense got blown to pieces, and that defense is supposed to be elite. So all around terrible performance from the Ravens. They're going to look to bounce back this week against the Washington football team. And I'm expecting they are going to come out blazing. I mean, they have something to show now. I mean, that was a unacceptable performance.
Yeah, it'd be pretty funny if somehow they end up losing versus the football team. I kind of got a chuckle there when you said football team. It just kind of hit me again that they're not the Redskins anymore. But another team that lost last week, one of the better teams in the league. I did predict them to lose, but that's only because they were missing their star player. And that's the Saints. The Saints and the Packers game. A really good game, 37-30. Packers won that game. Saints were without Michael Thomas. I believe he's going to be playing this week, correct?
No, he's out this week again. Once again,
okay,
he'll be out.
But either way, that was a really good game. I liked what I saw. Aaron Rodgers played well. I kind of thought he was going to have he wasn't going to play as well this year. Kind of start playing worse and worse now that he's getting older. But he's been proving me wrong. 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Aaron Jones averaging 4.3 yards a carry and a touchdown. They got some good players. And then Allen Lazard, where did he come from? 150 yards almost and a touchdown. Man, oh man, that's what I like to see. Saints-wise, Alvin Kamara, as I believe I said this earlier in the year, I wasn't so high on him with how everything was, but he's proven me wrong. And he's another fantasy player. If you have him somehow this week, you got to start him. They're playing the Lions, so.
I think everyone's starting Alvin Kamara regardless of the week. I don't think that's much of a decision.
This week, if he did that against the Packers, imagine what he's going to do to the Lions. Just think about that for a second. Drew Brees did have a good game, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh, freaking bug went up my nose. But Alvin Kamara, he showed us what he could do in the pass game. It's like he filled that role of Michael Thomas last week. Of course, he's not running the same routes, but 140 yards, almost 13 receptions, 2 touchdowns in the receiving game alone. That's absolutely insane. And I think when Michael Thomas comes back, you're going to see so much more. Also, one more quick thing I want to mention. Emmanuel Sanders got his first touchdown with Drew Brees this season.
Second. He had one, I believe.
But I think with Michael Thomas out, that was kind of the connection they needed to work on, and they were able to get. And I think that's going to kind of make a difference when Michael Thomas is back. I think he's going to have a much greater role in this offense now.
Yeah, I thought that, Emmanuel Sanders against that Las Vegas Raiders team was a non-factor, and that can't really happen. He was brought in on a pretty, sizable deal. This wasn't a deal where he's coming in, trying to make the team. It's a deal where he's in the wide receiver 2 spot, and when Michael Thomas goes down, he needs to perform. And he looked great there. He had 4 catches, 56 yards and a touchdown, and when Alvin Kamara is dominating the pass game, that's a solid performance. Alvin Kamara, you look at what they're doing with him. He rushed the ball only 6 times and 58 yards, so that's fantastic. 13 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is incredible. He's really having a great season. He looks fantastic. He looks healthy. He earlier in the year, he said, last year I was barely healthy. I was hurt the whole year. This year I'm 100%, and it really looks like it. I was one of the guys who was doubting paying him, but that offense really flourishes without him. And I think Drew Brees, he is getting older. I feel like the arm is starting to die down for Drew Brees. We haven't really seen him been able to take those shots this year. So Alvin Kamara is so huge to Drew Brees, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens there with the Saints. They are starting 1-2, and with the Packers on the flip side, another team that I did doubt as well. I feel like everyone kind of always doubts the Packers. You're like, they won't be that good. They don't have that much talent, and they've been getting it done even without Devontae Adams. We saw Allen Lazard really step up. Unfortunately, I believe he is going to be out for the foreseeable future. He has had some core muscle surgery, I believe. So that is a big loss for the Packers after seeing him kind of have a really breakout game. So we'll see what happens. Aaron Jones has been playing great, and Aaron Rodgers just seems to be able to get it done with whoever Matt LaFleur throws on the team. It's pretty impressive at this point.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, that bad man. So I'm not sure where we want to go from here. Those were really my games that I wanted to cover, so I'm not sure. Are there any other games you wanted to cover?
Not really. One thing I'll say is I doubted Josh Allen, and he proved me wrong this week. Great game for him and the Buffalo Bills. They had a great win against the Rams, who did almost come back, and a controversial pass interference call at the end of that game, but a good win for the Bills, and Josh Allen keeps proving me wrong. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah. Right now, I think he's probably like that number 2 MVP. He's probably right there in the MVP race right now, but yeah. I'm excited to see what he has for the rest of the season. And you fantasy owners too, especially. I got him in one of my leagues. Yeah, he's carrying you. I already know. You've probably got some garbage players over there, and you're still ending up winning just because you have Josh Allen. Man, he's a beast.
He's having a great year, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Well, I guess staying within the AFC East, we're going to talk about my Jets. We always do our recap of the Thursday night game. I don't know how much we can really recap for this one. There's a few points we can touch on here, but the Broncos beat the Jets 37-28. The Jets coming off a horrendous loss to the Colts that we're not going to talk about. That's in the past. Brett Ripien started for the Broncos. He threw 3 interceptions in this one and still got a massive W. Melvin Gordon had a great game, 23 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. You saw Jerry Jeudy with a huge play. Tim Patrick, that guy came out of nowhere. I didn't know who he was before. I still don't really know who he is, but he had a fantastic game, 100-plus receiving yards. And on the flip side of things, Darnold, Well, he's now injured. He has a shoulder issue after taking a big hit. Did have that one fantastic run, and we saw that chemistry with Jameson Crowder there, who, seems to always have these big games with Sam Darnold, but one of them seems to always be out. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I guess my thought, English, Griffin. I guess my question for you here, I think you can hear me. You're lagging a little bit. I think you're there, but what?
Yeah, it just cut off for a second. I could hear you now.
Okay. So, I mean, my question for you, I guess, really would be, what is your main takeaway from this game? Either both teams, I guess.
I'm not sure if you're done talking. It kind of cut out again.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. Trying to
get Wi-Fi where I'm at is not the best now. But yeah, I'll go into my quick takeaway, I guess, real quick. For Rippin, he showed some flashes and then he showed some not so promising things. Of course, 3 interceptions, not that promising. And then he kind of got carried on that one touchdown by Jerry Jeudy, who just Pierre Desir for the Jets. He gave up some plays, but then he also made some plays. He had 2 touchdowns this game. 2 interceptions, not touchdowns, excuse me. But you're seeing some things you may like from him, but then you're seeing some things that, I don't know about him right now. So You're seeing like the iffy things. You got to see in the next few weeks, what could he do? Is he making more big plays, or is he giving up big plays? We're going to have to see that. But he could be a player that could really help the Jets down the line if he does end up making more big plays than not. And then offensively for the Broncos, Melvin Gordon, 23 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. I got lucky. I started him in one of my leagues. I don't even remember why. I think I just kind of started him. Got lucky there. Amazing game from him, showing that without Philip Lindsay, he carry that running game and rushing game for the Broncos. And then Jerry Jeudy having his first touchdown of the season, only 2 catches, 61 yards. But you're seeing it. His hands are there. He got the routes. He's shown glimpses of what everyone hoped he would come and be out of the draft. And then on the other side for the Jets, Sam Darnold, once proven, he can't do anything without any help. He has no help whatsoever. Jameson Crowder did have a decent game there, 7 receptions, 104 yards. But Sam Darnold getting it with his legs, 84 yards and a touchdown rushing-wise. So I'm like what I'm seeing there, kind of figuring things out on his own. I think that's a really good sign for Jets fans and Sam Darnold that without these weapons, he's kind of finding another way he can get it done. So I'm excited to see what Sam Darnold does in the upcoming weeks without weapons still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he is going to have to miss some time due to his injury, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm not 100%.
Oh, I completely forgot about that too.
Yeah, so that's a tough blow, but I completely agree. I've kind of, as a Jets fan, I've always kind of said recently that I just don't think we really even know what Darnold is going to be, if he's a bust, if he's a stud. I don't really know. There's been no talent around him. He's had one of the worst offensive lines in the league for years now. They took away his number 1 wideout. I've talked about this multiple times already on the podcast. Robbie Anderson, who's killing it in Carolina. What a shocker. Lev Bell's been out. That's one guy to watch fantasy-wise, though. I mean, if Sam Darnold does miss some time, guys, Lev Bell is expected to come back next week. He could be a guy that, for me, I could really see him getting the ball a lot. Frank Gore, disappointing performance while Lev Bell is out. So I feel like Frank Gore, it's not really a threat to Lev Bell anymore. People were saying Frank Gore was going to out-touch him or take away touches. I don't think that's really the case. So, my boy Lev Bell, I was praying for the beginning, he was going to have a good year. But I feel like there is some potential with Darnold out for Lev to kind of have a nice time, especially with Flacco. I feel like he can maybe get some checkdowns or some stuff like that. So that'll be interesting to see. But with the Jets, I mean, it's the same old with the Jets. I don't see them winning. They might not win a game this season. I really don't know. Maybe they'll squeeze one out against Miami. But the team looks terrible. I think they're going to not win many games. They'll probably end up with one of the first selections in the draft. I would say they'll be in the top 3. And it's kind of just rebuild mode right now. See what can happen. I don't think they should move on from Darnold yet, but that's a completely different discussion. And, Darnold has shown signs of greatness. So we'll just have to see. And, hopefully Darnold can get some talent in that offense because, I mean, boy, do they need it. The Jets really have a lackluster, just an embarrassing roster right now. The roster's pretty bad. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I think this may be the come up of Lev Bell.
I know. My
Very
boy.
your boy. You said you were hyped about him. He didn't have that hot start before his injury,
Nope.
but now with Sam Darnold out, there's a lot of potential for him to do great things there, and we can maybe see could he put the Jets on his back and show signs and plays that he did when he was with the Steelers. I'm excited to see that. And as you said too, with Sam Darnold, you're not sure if you're ready to move on from him. I think you keep him. Even if you somehow end up with that first pick, I'm not going Trevor Lawrence. I'm sticking with Sammy D. Get him some weapons. I'm hyped to see what he's going to do in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. If the Jets land the number one pick, I feel like they should trade down. I mean, imagine what you can get. It's basically trading Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I think the stuff and the package that they would receive would really, really set them up well for the future. And, I think they have a great guy in Darnold. So we'll have to see what happens there. Well, I guess, week 4, obviously, we're not going to see the Titans or the Vikings play. Chiefs, Pats are up in the air right now, is what I'm trying to say. And I did say that. So there we go. I don't know if I think you're there now. Do you want to, maybe break down some fantasy guys you like or don't like before we hit into the game predictions? You want to do that?
Yeah, I'll start off real quick. Just a player kind of been on everyone's radar. A lot of people picked him up after that Leonard Fournette thing. And that is why am I missing? I don't know what I'm saying. James Robinson, great. I'm excited to see what he got this week. They're playing Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, not a great defense. They do have some potential there on defense, but I'm really excited. James Robinson's in for another big week. You see what he's doing against all these other teams. He's playing amazing no matter who he's going against. Now he's playing the Bengals. I'm so hyped to see what he has. And if you have him in your league, try to trade for him. And if you have him on your team, definitely start him over really anyone this week. I'd say you have to start him no matter what.
I agree with you. I like James Robinson this week. Another guy who I like this week is Darrell Henderson of the Rams. They do have a lot of guys in that backfield. I believe Cam Akers is not going to play, though. And we've seen Darrell Henderson kind of commend the backfield these past few weeks. He's getting 100-plus yards, 20-plus carries. I love what I'm seeing against the Giants. I mean, they're a solid team. We did see Jerick McKinnon have a solid week. I did say, I believe last week, that I thought McKinnon would have a nice week, and he did. He's going to get the start again this week against Philadelphia. So, these are guys that, they're going to start this week. So get them. And Joe Mixon, watch out because he is dealing with a chest injury. So if Giovanni Bernard is in your league and you can afford to potentially just pick him up, even if it means just for, if you got a spot or someone that you don't really need, maybe just pick up Gio Bernard, stash him on your team. If Mixon's out, Bernard could be a really nice play this week.
Yeah, and I mean some of these underrated guys, especially on the Philadelphia Eagles, like maybe someone like a Greg Ward or something like that, be a nice waiver wire pickup. Now that I believe for sure 3 of their starters or top 3 receivers are out. Their 4th receiver, I'm getting the names mixed up, but anyways, they're gonna have 4 receivers who are out tomorrow. So maybe pick up someone like a Greg Ward. Really, anyone there that could fill the roles of those receivers. Ertz is in probably for another really big game. He's going to start breaking out. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons yet this far. But now with Goddard out, you got those 4 receivers who are not going to be playing now. And then backup wide receivers. It's really just going to be him and Miles Sanders. And you're playing, I believe, it's the 49ers, yep.
Yeah.
And 49ers all banged up, as you all know, especially along that defensive line. So Miles Sanders is definitely a must start for me. And then, of course, Greg Ward, someone like that. And then Zach Ertz. Those are some big Philadelphia Eagles name players that you guys should go out and sign and potentially start this week.
I completely agree with that. I like all those moves. And I think Greg Ward, a guy who probably might be available in most leagues, could be a really solid waiver wire pickup. If you're a little thin at wide receiver, you can get some depth there. The last guy I'll recommend real quick, just watch out for some of these rookie wide receivers in Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins. Justin Jefferson had a huge week. I believe he dropped 30 fantasy points last week. He should be a guy that, if not already picked up in your league, I would pick him up. I think his upside and potential is huge there. And T. Higgins, kind of an underrated guy if you're in a deeper league or just, kind of want to grab someone that has some upside. T. Higgins is there, and, he's a solid guy. He had a great week. It seems like he's developing a connection with Joe Burrow, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, of course. The Bengals playing the Jaguars. Going to be a good game for both those offenses. So really, anyone offensively for both those teams, I'm excited to see what they have in store for you and your fantasy team. So make sure to go pick up some of those guys. And as I said before, James Robinson, make sure you go and try and trade for him or start him this week. He's going to have a great game.
For sure. Well, I guess that will take us to our NFL predictions for the week. I'll just share the screen now. So we'll get this show on the road. I mean, this has kind of been the staple of the podcast these past few weeks. And I think we both really enjoy going through these games. We'll probably have to start getting a tally going. One of us will have to look through the tape and see who's doing better with these predictions.
I got that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we'll get that going. Maybe get some like the NFL Network does, their game predictions. So we'll get that going for you guys. I think that'd be very interesting. So we'll start off with the first game on the board here, the Saints and the Lions. To me, this is kind of a no-brainer, but it could be a close one. What are you thinking here, Mac?
Yeah, I don't even to me, do we even really have to talk about this one? I mean, it's the Saints Lions. Of course, you got Alvin Kamara. Emmanuel Sanders is playing great. Drew Brees, of course, we feel like he's regressing right now. He's still playing better than most of the QBs in the league. We got a great defense line, Marcus Davenport. And then secondary, you have Marshawn Lattimore, Malcolm Jenkins.
He's out for the week.
He is? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing all these injuries.
There you go. You're good.
Yeah, you got some really good players back there. As I said, Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to really be locking up Kenny Galladay, I think, this week. You got Marcus Williams also back there at the safety position. So I really don't see how the Lions offensively are going to be able to compete against the Saints defense. And Saints, their offense is going to be really good against this Lions defense. The only, as I said, Emmanuel Sanders is probably going to be the number one receiver this week. So him versus Jeff Okudah, he may not be the biggest factor this week, but definitely some other players. Alvin Kamara, as I said, going to have a great week. Saints are easily going to be able to win this one.
Yeah, I loved what I saw from the Lions actually last week. I'm taking the Saints though, obviously. But the Lions, I feel like they could do something here. I mean, the Saints defense has been a little lackluster to start the season. They've given up a lot of points in all their games so far. They've obviously played very good offenses in the Bucs and the Packers and also the Vegas Raiders, who, are kind of a sleeper team that I like. But we'll have to see what happens here. I liked what I saw from Jeff Okudah recording his first career interception. And the Lions looked overall solid against the Arizona Cardinals. I believe we both had the Cardinals in that one. So kind of an upset victory. But I am going to take the Saints just because they are a solid team. I feel like that defense will have to kind of get it going eventually. And Alvin Kamara is just kind of an unstoppable player. And I think he's going to have another mega game here this week. Chargers Bucks, another very interesting game here. We'll see Tom Brady without Chris Godwin. Once again, he's going to be injured. And Justin Herbert, once again, will be making the start for the Chargers. I'll start here. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here.
Chargers.
You're going Chargers. Okay, well, I'm going the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. The Chargers defense is a little banged up. They've had some injuries to that secondary. I believe Chris Harris is out right now, as well as Derwin James, obviously, still being out. Obviously, Godwin is out. But I do like what I see from the Bucs. I feel like Mike Evans is due for a big game, especially with another guy like a Scotty Miller out. So I feel like Mike Evans, even against Casey Hayward, could have a really solid game. And look at those tight ends for big games too. O.J. Howard and Gronk. I mean, whichever one of those guys is likely to have a big game, as well as Ronald Jones. But I'm going to take the Bucs here. I just feel like the Chargers, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a very good game, and it could go either way for me. But I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Bucs. I feel like we'll see a solid performance out of that defense.
Yeah, as you said, it could go either way. I completely agree with you on that. It's definitely going to be super close. Really good matchup. Buccaneers, of course, you got Tom Brady. And Gronk, who I was kind of surprised about last week. He's like, yeah, I'm surprised I even got those 3 targets. Yeah. I'm like, you're Gronk. You should be getting those targets. I know you're supposed to be used as a blocker right now. That's kind of what your main role is supposed to be. And you got, of course, Chris Godwin out. Mike Evans is playing. You still got a great offense. Leonard Fournette is also out. So I'm not sure how their offense is going to be this week. Of course, Gronk, as I said, had the 3 targets last week. But if you want to win this game, you got Mike Evans and Gronk. Those are going to be your 2 main weapons this week. You got to get Gronk more involved in that pass game, and that's the main thing you're going to have to do. Devin White, defensively, been playing great. Shaq Barrett, of course, great as well. Antoine Winfield has been playing so decently as well, too, in that secondary, the rookie out of Minnesota. The Chargers, though, I have to give them the win here. Herbert's been playing well. Of course, You got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams, you got Eckler, you got Joshua Kelly. All these people have been playing well. And defensively, of course, you said Chris Harris not going to be playing. But you still have Casey Hayward, you got Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, and Kenneth Murray, who's been playing pretty well too as a rookie this year. I think the Chargers just all around this week have more talent to them. And I think the injuries offensively for the Buccaneers, which is their strength offensively, is really going to kill them this week. That's why I'm going to give the Chargers the win here, but it's still going to be a close game.
100%, I agree with you on that regard, and I think it should be one of the better 1 o'clock games. I think my other favorite 1 o'clock game is going to be the Browns and the Cowboys, but we are not going to jump that one just yet. We'll go in order, and we'll go to the Jags and the Bengals. And Mac, I'll start with you on this one. What do you like in the battle between Minshew Mania and the reigning Heisman winner in Joe Burrow?
Yeah, Joe Burrow's been passing a lot. What I like to see from a rookie quarterback, you got to carry your team. Mixon, kind of not getting those yards per carry that you would like, but of course he's still a great running back. He got paid. I think once you get a better offensive line, he'll be more of a factor. And for that reason, I'm going to give the Jaguars, I was about to say the Jingles, the win. I think the offensive line, kind of the lack of run game for the Bengals, yards per carry wise, is going to give the Jaguars a win. Minshew's been playing great. You're going to have DJ Chark this week. Laviska Shenault's been playing pretty decent as well. And CJ Henderson is playing looking like one of the better rookies right now as well. All around, Jaguars should be able to get this win. I think they're going to be able to play really well on offense, and they're going to be able to shut down that Bengal offense defensively.
I'm going to go on the other side here, and I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. I've liked what I've seen from this Bengals offense a lot. They've been in every game. They should have honestly won week 1. Their kicker, Randy Bullock, scuffed that field goal. They put up a strong showing against the Browns, and they obviously tied last week against the Eagles in a game that I don't think many people expected them to really show up in. And, Carson Wentz did have a bad game, but, the Bengals are doing well offensively, and I feel like we saw a bad game from the Jaguars against the Miami Dolphins. And I feel like the Bengals will kind of be able to do the same thing here. Their defense is a little bit of an issue, but I feel like they'll be able to contain the Jags. I feel like the Jags offense, besides James Robinson, we will see DJ Chark back this week, but I feel like their offense has kind of hit a little slowdown since their week 1 victory. So I'm going to take Joe Burrow here and give him his first career NFL victory.
Yep. Let's start from you, and now he's looking to get his first NFL victory. These next 2 teams just trying to get a victory. That's the Vikings and the Texans. This one, their 2 teams last year were really good. Texans, they had DeAndre Hopkins. They lost him, of course, but they got David Johnson, who's been playing fairly well this year. Vikings, I don't know what's going on with them. They lost Stephon Diggs, and now what the heck has gone on with them? They're not playing well. Vikings, they do have some good players. Mike Hughes, Harrison Smith defensively. Then you got Danielle Hunter, and I'm messed up on these injuries, but of course you got Yannick Ngakoue too. And then for the Texans, defensively you got J.J. Watt. Hasn't been playing like himself. He's still playing really well, but not himself. They don't have really anyone defensively that's star power that could stop and really help the defense win these games. Offensively, they're missing DeAndre Hopkins. That's a big loss, and the receivers haven't been able to get it done. And I'm going to have to give the Vikings the win here. Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson had a great game, and Adam Thielen are all going to be playing amazing. I have to give the Vikings win here.
I think this is an interesting one. It's crazy to think that one of these teams is going to be 0-4 to start the season potentially, unless they obviously tie. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to give the Texans the W here. I liked what I saw from them last week against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got one of the premier defenses in the league, and the offense played fairly well. I mean, you look at Deshaun Watson, pretty solid game. David Johnson did get a touchdown, was held to, not a great rushing game. But I feel like they'll be able to get it done. The Vikings defense has definitely shown some flaws in their secondary, specifically outside of Harrison Smith. There's not really a fantastic playmaker there. So I feel like the Texans might be able to abuse that secondary. And I think we could see a really big game from Will Fuller this week going against him in fantasy. So I'm praying they go to Brandon Cooks a lot this game. And David Johnson, because David Johnson's on my team. But that's a side note. But I think it'll be an interesting game. It could become a shootout, honestly. If Kirk Cousins starts throwing the deep ball. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm going to give the Texans the W here.
Hey, so it's going to be a shootout. And now another team that's going to be lighting up through the air, and that's the Seahawks at the Miami Dolphins. Both teams coming off a win. Dolphins beat the Jaguars Thursday Night Football. I believe it was 31-13.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Seahawks, they won through the air versus Cowboys. They're gonna win through the air every game. Of course, you get that. I think he's gonna keep playing like this. He's gonna be the MVP easily. May not have as many touchdowns in the next few weeks, but still gonna be the MVP. Seahawks easily gonna win this one. DK Metcalf ain't gonna make another mistake like he did last week versus my Cowboys, dropping that ball, kind of getting a little petty and slowing down before getting the end zone. And then Tyler Lockett, great game as well. Defensively, they are going to be missing Jamal Adams. That's a huge loss. They have a lot of injuries on the defensive side, and they're not really looking so great due to those injuries. But offensively, if they're having probably the best offense, maybe not stats wise, but overall and how they're playing, they probably have the best offense. And if you have the best offense, you're going to win the games. Dolphins, they did have a good, decent offensive performance last week versus the Jags, but I don't see how they're going to get it done with the Seahawks team who's playing like one of the Super Bowl champions or a potential Super Bowl champion this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Seahawks here. I feel like that's kind of that's chalk, as Big O, Mike O'Connell, a friend of the podcast, would say in a in a thing with me. I was watching back one of our a PTI that me and him did together, and he said that. I loved that. So I'm going to say Seahawks are my chalk of the week. My lock, I guess you could say, but that's chalk for me. I'm going to start using that. The Hawks are going to get it done. I would watch out for some of the Dolphins fantasy wide receivers. I feel like Devontae Parker, Preston Williams could really have a nice showing. They could be solid starts against the Seahawks secondary that has been terrible this season. So I feel like those guys could really get it done, specifically Devontae Parker. I mean, he's the clear one there. He's shown some really, really great things. So I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks here, obviously. Even without Jamal Adams, I feel like this team is just still superiorly better than the Miami Dolphins. But you never know. I mean, maybe the kicker will throw for another touchdown. You never know what happens with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. And now let's go quickly talk about that game that the Seahawks played last week, and that's the Cowboys. Cowboys playing at home versus Cleveland Browns. I'm going to try to go quick through this. It's kind of getting dark here, so you got to get going a little bit. So I'm going to try and go quick. I'm going to give Cowboys a win here. Dak played amazing. The offense played amazing. Zeke should bounce back after only that 2.4 yards per carry game last week. Not expecting bad performance from him this week like he did last week. Browns offensively, they're going to have a great game. There's going to be another shootout. The Cowboys defense, that's secondary. You're going against the Browns team whose strength is their wide receivers and what should be their pass game, but it really hasn't, just for one reason or another, they haven't been able to put it together. This week is going to be their week to put it together against the Cowboys secondary that has not been playing great. Alden Smith, for the Cowboys, I think he could have another big game. He had 3 sacks last week. I'm expecting at least 1 sack this week. Cowboys, with Tyron Smith back offensively, they're going to be so much better, and I think the Cowboys are going to win this game.
I'm going to go on the flip side here. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I really like what I've seen offensively from the Browns, specifically with that dual-headed monster out of the backfield. I'm talking about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They've both really done a fantastic job, and I feel like the Cowboys are going to have a hard time stopping all these guys, plus Odell, plus Landry, plus Austin Hooper. As long as Baker Mayfield has a pretty solid game here, is getting the passes on target, I feel like the Browns offense is going to really have a fantastic game here. I like all those fantasy options. Maybe outside Austin Hooper, I feel like he doesn't get the ball too much on that offense. On the flip side, Cowboys offense has been playing great, but that defense just is kind of the worry for me. And I feel like the Browns defense is a little stronger. You got Myles Garrett. If he can get to Dak Prescott, that could be a big issue. But we'll see. I feel like Ezekiel Elliott could be the X factor here. If he really has a big game, I feel like when Zeke has mega games, the Cowboys really don't lose. So I feel like if Zeke goes off, Cowboys win. But I'm going to say the Browns are going to be able to contain Zeke enough to where they get the W.
Yep. And from one superstar running back to another, should have been superstar running back, Panthers hosting the Arizona Cardinals. They lost Christian McCaffrey, of course. That's the major headline for their team. And they got new coach Matt Rule. They kind of still figured things out. This year, I kind of felt like they were going to play pretty well, but I think next year will be a year where they kind of step things up without injuries and hopefully a better roster. Cardinals are going to get the win here. They came off a loss versus Detroit Lions, which we mentioned before. But Kyler Murray is playing great. D-Hop continues to play great. He's questionable and hurt, kind of still iffy this week. So who knows I'm getting tongue-tied. Who knows what his role is going to be this week in that Cardinals offense if he does end up playing. But Kenyon Drake is a player on fantasy A lot of people may have drafted him in their first-round picks, with their first-round picks. I was one of them. This is a week where he could have a great breakout week. Panthers, Derek Brown. I have to mention them every week. Derek Brown, Yetur Gross-Matos, and K'Wan Short on that D-line is pretty nasty, but they're still unable to get it done for some reason. Offensively, Teddy B, and then you got Robbie Anderson, the former Jet, which you mentioned before. Oh, my gosh. I'm so tongue-tied today. But nonetheless, Cardinals win, better overall team, and should be able to get it done.
I'm going to take the Panthers here, but just off the fact that I don't believe DeAndre Hopkins is going to play in this one. In an interview with Cliff Kingsbury, I believe, Cliff really made clear that, Diop's not going to be playing unless he's 100% here. It's too early in the season. They don't want to risk things. So to me, it sounds like they might be a little cautious with him. And I feel like without him out, the wide receivers there, Christian Kirk has really not done anything this season. He's been a big disappointment. So I'm going to give the Panthers this win. I really like what I saw from Mike Davis out of the passing game. He did a great job kind of taking the role of McCaffrey, and he's obviously not Christian McCaffrey. No one is, but he had a great game. Teddy Bridgewater, I feel like he'll finally get it going with DJ Moore. We've kind of seen a slow start from DJ Moore. He had that solid week, I believe, against the Buccaneers. Could be wrong on that one, but he didn't really have a great week last week. But Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson have found a huge connection. I love what I'm seeing in Carolina. So I'm going to give the Panthers a close W here, but it could go either way if Kyler has a crazy game or if D-Hop plays. I think the Cardinals could win this one. So it's kind of 50-50 for me, but since I'm thinking D-Hop's not going to play, I'll give it to the Panthers. I think you're muted.
My bad. So you said another one that's going to be close. I think it's going to be a close game as well. Colts at the Chicago Bears. Bears forced that Nick Foles, and that's before he's starting now. Play great. I think the Bears are going to be able to win this one. Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. We still got really player good Jonathan Taylor. They're going to get the Bears defense still red hot. Bears defense kind of like carried them through the first 2 weeks.
I don't know if you're doing. I can't really hear you right now. I don't know if it's like a. Are you there? It's like I don't know why. It's like. It's a little better. It's good. I'll go. Who'd you pick? I couldn't even hear you pick.
That was the Bears.
Okay, now it's good. You got the Bears. All right, I'm gonna stick with you here. As we kind of, I think we'll go a little quicker through the rest of these because it is getting late for both of us a little bit. So the Bears here, I'm gonna agree with you here. Nick Foles will get it done against the Colts team that's looked solid against the Jets, but that's the Jets. So I'll give the Bears the W here. Ravens, Washington. I think the Ravens are gonna have a big bounce back week. I don't see the Washington football team getting this, so I'm gonna take Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm going to take Baltimore here as well. Lamar Jackson, there's no way in hell that he's going to have two performances like he did last week. Big bounce back week. Dwayne Haskins, his job is on the line here, I think, this week.
Yeah.
He had his little talk with the front office saying, you got to step it up or he's not going to be their starting quarterback. So maybe does he use that as motivation to play well? We're going to have to see, but Ravens should be able to get a win here.
Giants, Rams. I'm going to take the Rams here. I feel like the Giants just have not shown anything. Daniel Jones does not look good, and I don't think that'll continue. I think that'll continue this week against the Rams team who's 2-1, and they almost came back against a great Buffalo Bills team. So I feel like the Rams will get a nice W here.
Rams 2-1, got their first loss with Buffalo Bills. Rams got a lot of talent, especially Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the defense side of things. And also, you got some good.
I can't. Maybe bring it like work. It's like it's on. It might be better there. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to give it the Rams here. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, as I said, offensively, Robert Woods, of course, and then Daniel Jones hasn't been playing great. You're missing Saquon Barkley, of course. Sterling Shepard's probably going to be out. You're missing so many pieces, and offensively, Giants can't put together. Rams should be able to easily get a win here.
Pats, Chiefs. I mean, I don't know when they're playing this game here, but to me, this could be another one where it is chalk now that Cam Newton's going to be out. I feel like the Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead Stadium, if they do play this game, it's going to be a blowout in my eyes. I mean, the Pats D could keep it close, but I just don't see Brian Hoyer, who has been named the starter, leading the Pats this one. So I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah, KC easily. Patriots, especially without Cam Newton. Hopefully they're able to play this game, but
Yeah.
without Cam Newton. Sorry if you hear that noise in the background.
No,
But no matter what, this can be a pretty big blowout. You can't have a backup QB playing against the Chiefs. You're just asking to lose. You're just asking to lose. Of course, you didn't mean for it to happen, but Chiefs are going to easily be able to win this one.
Bills Raiders, another strong game. I'm going to take the Bills. I like what I've seen here from Buffalo. The Raiders, they've looked solid. It is in Vegas, so you never know anything can happen in Vegas. But I don't know. The Raiders didn't really look amazing last week. They kind of had some duds. Darren Waller had a dud of a game. So I'm going to go Buffalo here. They really haven't had too much issues with anyone. Josh Allen looked great against a solid Rams defense. So I'm going to give the Bills the W here.
This is going to be a close one. Bills Raiders. Raiders have shown really good signs of what they could potentially be. I'm not sure if they're going to be great this year, but I think next year's a big year for them. But this week, Bills coming off a big win. This is tough for me. I don't know why. Raiders at home. I may give the Raiders this win here. I think I'm going to give the Raiders this win. Derek Carr, Henry Ruggs, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has been playing great defensively. Jonathan Abram. I love what I've been seeing from him. They got some good players there. John Gruden has been showing that maybe he was worth that big contract that he did receive. Bills, big win. Josh Allen playing like MVP caliber quarterback right now. Stephon Diggs playing great. Their defense playing great. But going to be a close game and a really good game. I don't know why I'm kind of feeling a little bit of an upset here.
No, I get that. I feel like the Raiders have, we both have already talked about it, especially in the last episode. We really like what we're seeing from that Raiders team. A little bit of a slower week, though, this week, which is why I'm probably leaning Buffalo here. Eagles-Niners, some Sunday Night Football in the Bay Area. This one's a hard one. I mean, Nick Mullins is starting again, but the Eagles have really looked bad. This Niners are banged up. This is a hard one for me.
I mean, the Niners did beat the Giants banged up. So they're still playing at a high level.
I'm going to give the Eagles this one just because the fact that I feel like that one hurts. I know. I trust me. I hate saying it.
One sec. Let me interrupt you real quick.
Okay.
You're giving the Eagles a win, even though I don't know if you've seen it, but when they're promoting the games, he wasn't even on there. They had Nick Mullins there above Carson Wentz. They had his picture. Holy crap. I'll let you go, but I don't know how the 49ers getting this.
I don't know. You're lagging out a little bit right now, but I'll go here. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Like I said, I just feel like Carson Wentz will have to have a little bit of a better game. And since the Niners are a little banged up, I feel like they'll be able to get the job done. And I feel like the Niners will have Nick Mullins is not going to perform like he did last week. You're frozen right now, so I don't even know if you can hear me. But, yeah, we'll give the Eagles the W here. Falcons-Packers. I mean, I guess I'll just go since, we are having some technical difficulties. And I apologize. We are filming this one a little late. So,
Not
there
sure.
you are. Okay. You're back.
I'm not sure what happened there. Just kicked me out, but I'm back.
He's back in the flesh. Co-host and star Macron.
A little bit again, but I think we're still.
Yeah. Well, let's finish this one quickly before we have another Wi-Fi issue. Like we said, like I was just saying, we are filming late, so we did have to. We are not obviously in the best spots probably to film this. So but we're getting it done for you guys. We love doing this. So we'll finish up real quick. You're going Niners, I believe you said. You want to give a little insight why?
Excuse me? Sorry, it cut out as you said that.
I said you're going Niners for Sunday Night Football. Like you said, want to give some reasons why.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Eagles banged up. They're missing a four-star receiver. At least the 49ers are getting Deebo Samuel back this week.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big game for them and big help for Nick Mullins, who performed really well against the Giants last week, putting up over 30 points. I was surprised that it was really even that close. But Deebo Samuel is a really big piece that's come back. Eagles missing too many players for my liking. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it may actually be high scoring just due to the injuries. Decently scoring, but 49ers should be able to get a win there, in my opinion.
Should be a close one. Monday night, I don't know how close this will be. If Julio Jones and Devontae Adams, they might actually both be out here. So this could be a very interesting game. I'm just going to take the Packers. I mean, it's in Lambeau. I love what I'm seeing from them so far. I can't really pick against them at this point, especially against an Atlanta Falcons team that has just blown so many leads. It's just not possible for me to not go Packers here.
Yeah, I don't know why it's going to be a shootout. I think this will be a really high scoring game just due to the fact that first half Falcons, you see what they do in the first half. They're really putting up high numbers. And I think after the first half, the Falcons may actually have the lead. But second half, Packers are really going to come steamrolling. Falcons are going to kind of slow down like they have the first 3 weeks, Packers should be able to win this one. I love the Smith Bros. I always say it every single week, the Smith Bros. Falcons, Calvin really playing amazing. Keep and Quinn actually is able to pick things up and maybe keep his scheme in his game plan. Like I said earlier, Packers should be able to win this game, but there's a chance it could be close, but it's definitely going to be high scoring.
For sure. Well, that does it for our weekly, I guess, NFL predictions. It's obviously late, so I don't think we're going to linger too much. So, Mac, you want to wrap this one up for us?
Yep, of course. Sorry for the network issues I had today, everyone watching. But it was a good episode, fun episode to film.
For sure.
And to wrap it off, I'll start it off by just saying make sure you follow us on social media. My Instagram personally is mac.rommel. Your Instagram is?
Griffin Senek, the name.
And then our podcast Instagram, the podcast. Comment and subscribe. So if you want to see, feel free to DM us if you potentially come on with us. To know we can have for interviews, anything you guys want to see, anything, literally just reach out to us. We would love to hear you guys' input. We would love to implement it, especially. With that, I'm going to end it off. Everyone, have an amazing football Sunday. Enjoy your day, your week, everything. Stay safe. Next week, we're going to make sure to put out another great episode of Outside the Arena.